Guys, welcome back to another one of my YouTube videos, and in this YouTube video I am going to be playing World of Airports, so yeah.
Will say where that machine probably won't work is 99% of all chest compression times when you need to chest compress. Because chest compressions happen at home, on the street, where you find people down, and that's where hands-only CPR really needs to happen. And guess what? Most people aren't carrying that in their back pocket. Shoots him, and he goes okay, that doesn't happen. I'm just saying, it's not a natural reflex. There are all sorts of reflexes that babies do, which are actually kind of adorable. If you've ever seen like the startle reflex, if you were to fake drop a baby, the baby that naturally reaches out to try and save themselves. We check these things.
So, Rob McElhenney, can you please tell me how in the hell you got so ripped, putting us all into shame after that transformation? What you're going to need to do is you have a chef, right? Like a personal chef. So make sure the chef makes you a lot of chicken breast, and make sure you keep your caloric intake at a certain level. And as you go to your physician 2 or 3 times a week, just to monitor your testosterone levels.
You don't need to see your doctor multiple times a week to check anything unless you actively have a serious problem. I can't remember the last time I needed to see a patient multiple times a week. You also don't need to swear off food, but yeah, I get what he's saying. To get an extreme look in your body, will take extreme steps, and that's not always healthy. We look at people who have ripped six-packs and we assume that they're extremely healthy. That's not always the case. Sometimes that comes at the cost of their mental health, which makes it tremendously unhealthy. Oh, and yeah, a little adductor work never hurt nobody. Adductors are commonly strength exercise, so you do need to strengthen them and stretch them. I don't know why it needs to be in this room and in this position. This outfit, but to each their own.
So when I first lost my leg, it was absolutely mind-blowing to me how hungry I was every second of every day, especially when I started to my prosthetic learning how to walk again.
Well, you definitely will be using more energy to adapt in the short term. Also, if you just got out of a surgery, you're also going to need more calories to heal because that's a metabolic demand on the body.
Especially as a pretty active, I'm hungry all of the time.
If a patient is overly hungry all of the time, like a year or two post-surgery, that is a potential reason to do further work. You know, we're talking thyroid levels, cholesterol levels, sugar levels, etc. Because there are conditions that can present themselves with feeling hungry all the time.
This is the 200 pounds.
Our bodies weren't made for this, so you're going to have extreme agony in your low back. Length of your arms, length of your legs, the muscle position, the muscles insertions, the spinal cord. It's not meant for this type of work. It's no mental work, right? So this could be a cool exercise. I would recommend.
Pay attention if
Your nose can start to run if you're having a reaction, if you're experiencing a viral illness, if you get increased circulation to your nasal mucosa.
you're eating and your nose starts to run, stop eating. You might eat something that's not good for you. I know that.
If I right now have a little bit of spicy sauce, my nose is going to run. Spicy sauce is not necessarily bad for you. And if I had a tiny bit of it, that also doesn't mean I'm full. So your thing just got debunked on face value. Sorry. Oh, wow. I've heard of this, depositing ink. Medical intervention, even if it's for cosmetic purposes, should be eliminated at all costs. So many things can go wrong, and then good luck figuring out if you have a medical condition. Right? And again, I want you to express yourself, but I want you to express yourself without hurting yourself. Okay, this is the weirdest thing I've ever seen. If anyone sends me this to the P.O. box that I have listed in my description down below, I will be very shocked.
You're looking at the face of someone who hasn't eaten food in almost 5 years. This food is a compromise. It makes us sick and we don't know.
No, my God. I've seen patients in hospital settings where they can't cook their food and they have horrible illness. They lose their lives. Children lose their lives. Why? Contaminated water, contaminated food, because they can't cook. So for all the privilege that we have to have all these clean foods, there's many places in the world where clean food's not an option. So let's be reasonable.
Just eat raw food only. So all our public food tickets.
Well, first, we'll live forever.
So you know how you go to the gym.
Yeah.
You work out to do your abs.
What's up?
So in the morning, midday, whatever.
Well, I usually do that.
You're doing it wrong.
Why?
You have to men.
I do that. But why?
For 8 hours when you sleep, you don't drink, you don't eat, and your stomach does not expand. So those muscles you just worked on work 10 times better than when you
logic is that because your stomach is not expanding, your abdominal muscle, which is separate from your stomach muscles, stay flat. How does that mean that they work hard? Once you stop doing the abdominal workout, the repair begins. It doesn't matter what's going on in your stomach. And doing abs has nothing to do with that. Just putting that out there as well.
But what makes it more is a lot of things actually make up terms to separate it so you can but those terms actually have meaning.
Yeah, that's literally everything. Everything in the supplement industry does not include it. Unless they make a claim and then they actually hurt somebody, then the FDA starts to step in. Actually, I don't think it's even the FDA, I think the FCC starts acting.
First, it's their testing on FDA approved network. Like because an FDA does not approve any network.
Well, no, what they say is an FDA-approved facility where other things are made. Like when you hear a bad doctor, they please say it's an FDA-approved building, and there's a rental space next door. Or they're tested, but the third parties are bro. All ingredients in life pretty much have been clinically tested. That means that we're just words. That's the best. When they start calling their supplements nutraceuticals, you know, that's almost pharmaceutical supplements. If you sell supplements, you're doing it strictly to keep yourself down label, not because there's any restrictions based on general to the body. Okay, so do you know that your food has a way to give you better stability inside of this environment? It's not just like a physical response, it's an actual neurological response. There's also probably a function component that you want to do socks in the field, because that's going to trap moisture, darkness, all that stuff. That creates a good housing environment. So it's fun that
Thinking of getting freckles from the face.
it's interesting. People without freckles can get freckles tattooed. People with freckles need the miracle serums to remove them. The grass isn't green. I'm telling you. Don't tell me. Hold up. Wait a minute. People look to you and they trust your content. When you do stuff like this, which is just so obvious to me. Okay. No, doctor. Maybe that was comedy. I'm judging the question. I reserve because I don't know what happened on the clearly missing it. And I hope it gets I'm thinking that whatever it is. But as you can see, with so many TikToks, you've got to be really careful on it. It's so important. We've taken a look at prior broken Guinness World Records, but there are some new ones that I've never heard before on this list. Let's take a look. Is he chewing? We're just chewing on the end. I wish I had a dentist respond to this. This is a combination of Josh and Josh, a really talented one. But then also the hand ripping his leg. Tearing the head off. These are aluminum hands.
For a tip today, hey, you didn't come to the walk. Don't touch your 36.
Whoa, 20%. The biggest thing that scares me with this place is obviously going to the teeth, then also cutting yourself, because there's really sharp edges of metal. Doing it in a 71 angle, having it split out and slice your cheek open, I think it's quite dangerous. Save your teeth for chewing, save your teeth for sleep. Don't use it to rip them podcasts. There's better uses. Roast, butt, shoulder high, chili pepper. When you wear gloves to eat a spicy meal, you know it's serious. It's the ghost pepper. It's one of the hottest chili peppers in the world. I had a little bit of that sauce going off the grill, so I almost passed away.
I don't want to do myself. I'm not like.
Remember, the reason why these peppers have such a big reaction on bodies is because of capsaicin, which binds the very same receptors that create protein, inflammation, learning. So it's triggering your body to see the response as if those areas you're treating
Bravo, Victor Victor, Huntley 1019, 24 cargo on board.
These inflammatory responses can have actual damage to the cat as a result. These shrinking tendrils is known as main ingredient of cancer. So I don't know. I mean, this is but it's just something that you need to stop. It prevents your kidneys from working properly. So I'm concerned about that. I mean, at some point, you gotta admit people are reaching. Like, they're really, really just trying to be interested. Oh my god, this sound. This is the worst ASMR. This is the opposite of a good ASMR video. I'm legit getting up. I'm so much. I think I'm joking, but I'm not. Or is that faster? What was the previous record? Can I try this video? I have 500 grams of mozzarella. Yeah, if you want me to try that record, I will try. I think I can try. I don't think there's much better than this. Greatest distance, above the road, the longest duration during with the lower width covering road. Race between longest route and single road. There's definitely some kind of technical ability. That's how the configuration is released, either from an underlying or just a laxity situation where there's looseness in the joints. We always talk about on this channel, Ehlers-Danlos is one of those conditions that doctors do a shitty job at diagnosing because a lot of times patients are given non-specific symptoms and they come in for a lot of injuries. Doctors kind of get fed up and they say, oh, they don't actually see the time to diagnose them. But there's all sorts of risks that can happen with different types. So my name is Tanya Hubbard, and I hold the record for the largest speed on a living female. I love this stuff. How was it? I guess I'm over the past here. I wonder what size. 30 foot, 7 years long. Oh, I thought you were going to say 30 foot, 7 years long, probably a size 90. And I wear a size 16, 17 mid, and an 18 mid female. I would say your female. 6'9", which the pattern is 3 inches shorter than the tallest woman. Wow. There's definitely a growth hormone going on. It's two very situation. There's a gland inside the brain that
Alpha 4 Oscar Papa Juliet Hotel. Line up and wait runway 30.
yeah, it's when you're younger and you feel different in your classmates. It's kind of
I'm Sam Ramsell, and I wanted two Guinness World Records. One for the largest
Alpha 4 Oscar Papa Juliet Hotel. Cleared for takeoff. Wind 16 degrees, 12 knots.
The average woman's mouth is 1.74 inches wide, or 4.43 centimeters.
So it's not even a jaw thing, it's more of a cheek.
I always want to make up over my lips, so I'm really accentuate now. It's very well said. Because I do love it, but I just feel like it's finally like giving me a little bit of my power back.
Yeah, she's made it part of her personality. She owns it. That's awesome.
Over the last 9 years, I estimate total donation numbers to be over 350,000.
I mean, that sounds still lots.
Mission on my worst enemy. It is
There's a certain type of tumor called a prolactinoma, which causes excessive secretion of prolactin hormone, which is a milk-producing hormone. We've actually seen patients that develop a prolactinoma and start secreting milk. We've also seen patients be able to start secreting milk from actually stimulating their nipples, even if they're not pregnant. It's a very unique situation that responds to different stimuli.
hyperlactation syndrome is technically a disability.
It is. It's very disruptive to one's life. This can be probably treated with a double mastectomy if you're possessed. That's obviously surgery carries its own risks. But I would say in a condition like this is that we need more research because in the medical by perhaps an endocrinologist or maybe an OBGYN specialist in total disorders.
Another option that I have is potentially looking into a double vasectomy to remove all of the glandular tissue that is producing breast milk.
There's also effects that lectin has on the body outside of this milk production, so it's important to think about the patient's entire health. Take the breast tissue that's not, needs to make sure that the other part
Airgen Sport 7990, line up and wait runway 19er center.
that's like a form of torture sleeping.
Airgen Sport 7990, clear for takeoff, wind 9 degrees, 11 knots.
Oh, it was only by the fourth or fifth day that it was hard. What about the other days?
I believe it's multiple systems, leads things, many books, studs speech, however, I'm surprised that 260 hours of sleep is
That's so incredibly good. There's so many things that can go wrong. From hormonal issues to cardiac issues to your kidneys shutting down. The brain is just put under an immense amount of strain. We have these things called IRBs. They're called institutional review boards, where people of different professions sit on these boards and they vote on whether or not a study is ethical. And I can't find a way that study would be ethical. It's just very, very restrictive.
But this is Roy C. Sullivan, who was struck by lightning 7 times.
What?
First time he was struck in 1942, he was hiding from a thunderstorm in a lookout tower.
One of the most important things when you're in the middle of a thunder or lightning storm is to go inside. You want to stay away from being outdoors. If you're within a big group of people, you want to separate. Mostly because if the lightning hits the ground, you don't want it to hit all of you at the same time. Because then all of you will be incapacitated and not be able to help them. And the first thing that you do is almost the same thing you do if you find someone who's pulseless. Call 911 right away, and then you start treating that person by checking to see if they have a pulse, if they're breathing, and if they don't, start chest compression while breathing.
Roy's next lightning encounter was in 1969. He was driving his truck in the mountain. Now usually this would be protection from a lightning strike, but he had the window open, and the lightning knocked him unconscious and burnt off his eyebrows and eyelashes.
Yeah, burns are pretty common. People who get hit by lightning do experience things like heart attacks and cardiac arrests. Not getting hit by lightning is like 10% chance of mortality, so it's a pretty dangerous incident. There's about 30 deaths per year on average in the United States from lightning strikes, and the odds of getting hit in a lifetime, say more than 8 years, is actually not as low as 1 in 50. It's 1 in like 15,000 chance of getting hit in your life. Per year, it's really low. Over 8 years. But is that 7 times?
And then in 1972, he was struck for a 4th time, whilst in a ranger station, and his hair caught fire.
How is modern science not investigating this? This poor hair standing the test of time. Wow, 9 children. Was that non-Tumblr? I'm so jealous of this smart family. Have a support system of 8 brothers and sisters is actually true. No.
It's really like a C-section.
Why do they have a human they've ever survived? The reason mothers who are pregnant with multiple babies inside of them C-section so often is because they have an extra baby inside. They need to carry their weight.
Well, that's gonna be the end of this YouTube video, and bye.